Hello, everyone. Welcome to our third Thursday continuing education program. I'm Kate Kite, continuing education coordinator for Illinois Heartland Library System. I do want to mention a couple of housekeeping things. As always, please rename yourself to both your or to either your first name and last name or your first name and library. We also have the chat and Q&A functions turned on down at the bottom of the screen. If you have any questions, you are free to ask there. And this morning, we have Kimber Martin, director of the North Pike District Library, and Tiffany Holland, who's with West Central Childcare Connection, talking to all of us about their effort to bring that big library energy. And I first saw Kimber speak about this topic back at the Association of Rural and Small Libraries Conference in 2024. And it is just a great initiative that they have all taken. So I am going to stop talking and turn it over to Kimber and Tiffany. Thank you all for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for having us and inviting us to come speak. I think Tiffany and I both feel very strongly um, about the library collaborations that we've built, and I think we both really enjoy talking about it. So yeah, we have been working hard to bring that big library energy to our. Sorry, I'm not real great at Zoom. Did I go too far? There we go. All right. So this is Tiffany Holland, and I'm Kimber Martin, and we have both been in our roles for a little while now. I've been here for 13 years, and Tiffany has been with her position with West Central Childcare Connection for 8. North Pike District Library is in Grossville for anybody who's not aware of that. Sorry. What is happening? I don't know. Okay. We're click down here. Okay. So we are the little libraries that do. This is our little section. When we presented at Arsenal, I thought it was really important that because it was a national conference, that people understood where our libraries were coming from, and that we really are just this small section of Illinois, which feels, I mean, when you look at it, like that's a pretty good spread, but we all know that it's a lot of land, but not necessarily a lot of people. So while there's several counties involved, there's not necessarily a ton of population there. So in our group, there are 10 counties that are involved. We have 2 different library systems. We have majority rails, but then we do have some IHLS libraries that are involved. There are 30 different libraries, and our service population total is over 152,000. So altogether, we're serving a whole lot of people. Our largest library involved is a $50,000 service population, which is Quincy. Our smallest serves about 950. And our libraries that are the farthest apart are 148 miles. So when Tiffany's traveling around, she does a lot of traveling. It's not uncommon for her to go from one part of the service area to the other part of the service area all in the same day. So I don't know. Do you even have any idea how many miles you've traveled?
During the character visits, it's been like 1,300.
1,300.
Yeah.
It's a lot of miles. So a big part of what we have going on with our group is the brainstorming that just happens all the time. And as librarians, I think in general, as librarians, we're extra. We're just a little extra. A lot of us we take things just to that next level. And so when you get a lot of extra people together, extra things happen. And so that leads to a ton of brainstorming, and it really does feel like it just doesn't ever stop. So this is from Arcel last year. We were in, and at this point, Tiffany and I already knew we were presenting. We'd already started working, like our presentation was all but done. And it was in the very first session, like session time that day, and we're all in different ones. And we get a message in our group. Somebody had, hey, let's look at this. Let's think about this. And then it just went from there. And it was like, this is a perfect example of how we are constantly brainstorming, that it just goes. And we don't even sometimes really realize it's happening before we're in the middle of it. And we're like, oh, okay, we're doing it.
And this is a project that, like the tech petting zoo, this is something that we're still working on putting together, but it's like if you put together a kit of these items, then we can share them. So we can pass them along. Something that you might at your library only use once a year suddenly has a lot more value, and you have more contribution to it. So you can share it between libraries, and they can have family events where they use this and just pool it all together.
So some of that brainstorming has led to like the tech petting zoo ideas. But it goes beyond like the tech petting zoo. We've talked about different programs, like different ways to theme our dramatic play areas, library management, talking about those things that we as librarians and library directors have to encounter, and how we can help each other do more. Move and Groove is a program that has spun out of our brainstorming. Summer reading ideas, they always come along whenever a group of us get together. And Good Dolly, Where's Dolly was probably one of my favorite brainstorming results, because it was so much fun. So we recently, Pike County has had, Griswold Perry area has had the Dolly Parton Imagination Library for a couple of years now through the school. And the person at the school was no longer going, she was retiring. So they asked if one of the libraries would be willing to take it on, and Pittsfield Public Library was willing to be the administrator for it. So at one of our meetings last fall, I think it was last fall.
Yeah, November.
Yeah. We got to talking about the Imagination Library and how all of Pike County was coming onto it, and Pittsfield was talking about, the different things they were having to do, like to kick it off, and the different requirements from the Imagination Library. And one of the things they mentioned was that they had to buy a dolly, a life-size dolly. And so we got to talking about this, life-size dolly and how much dolly cost. Dolly's not a cheap girl. And so we were chatting and laughing about it, and something was said about, oh, we take Dolly on the road. We're gonna share her. We'll pass her around. And good golly, where is Dolly?
And I have always wanted to do an Advent collection of books around that, so we decided, we paired those ideas. So again, it's just, multiple heads at the table, and just the ideas roll off of each other. So you have Dolly traveling around, and then you've got an Advent collection of books, and it was a lot of fun.
It was so much fun. We had a post each library. There's Pittsfield Public Library, Barry Public Library, and then North Pike District Library. So we all had her for different days. We had her at different events. We made posts and, encourage people to come take selfies with Dolly. So lots of selfie taking with Dolly at different places, the different libraries. And then each selfie was an entry for an Advent calendar collection of books. And if they shared it, they got an entry, just different ways to get them involved and get it being spread around. And so then we had our little Advent winners. And that was fantastic. It was great. They were so cute. One of the moms, the one that won ours, the family that won ours, she was just thrilled about it. It was his first Christmas, and she's like, I'm doing this every year now. Like I'm doing this every year. This is so good. And I'm like, we started something now for this family, and all it took was sharing Dolly Parton around between the three of us. And Dolly got some miles on it that month. She went a lot of places. So and we share a lot of things with our group. And it's not just the brainstorming, it's not just the chatting, it's the physical things that we share also. So we have several of us have story walks, permanent story walks installed, but then some of us also have temporary story walks, pop-up ones. And Tiffany, bless her heart, helps us get story walk put together, because if you have a story walk, they take some effort into compiling them, cutting, laminating, all that good stuff. So Tiffany is able to help with that, and then we're able to share story walks between us. So if I have a story that somebody else can use, then the work I've done putting mine together is not going to waste just with me, like somebody else is able to use it also. We have a library of things. We have a Google spreadsheet that has all the random things in it that we all seem to have, that, you use it for a couple of weeks and then you put it away. Well, if somebody else can use it, then that's fantastic. It's not just sitting there. Literacy kits are a big thing that we pass around. That's another thing that Tiffany has helped coordinate for us, and she'll travel around and drop them off. And those have been incredibly popular, that the families can take home, or the provider, or that the librarians can use for story hour purposes too. And staff, I actually have borrowed Pittsfield's staff before, because we're small libraries. We don't have a lot of people. And so our neighboring libraries are able to help us out.
And a little more on the staff and presenters. Our libraries have found that, so like Move and Groove, going back to it, it's a special program, and it takes a special person to do it. And when you're looking at, for the younger age group, like that's a half-hour program, it's very hard to find somebody to do that just for half an hour once a week at one library. But if you partner with your neighbors, we've found a Move and Groove provider in several different clusters, that then they travel to each of, so 4 libraries. Suddenly they're doing 2 events in one day, and 2 in another. So they're working 2 days a week, and it's actually, then it becomes enough to be worth their time. And we've been able to keep a consistent staff for that program, where you'd struggle with just half an hour once a week. So it just becomes more beneficial for them and for the libraries. We've also been able to get larger summer reading programs, because they can suddenly hit 2 small libraries, in one day. So it's worked out really well. We have the Quincy Children's Museum that now they'll travel, and they'll do several libraries in one day, and it just makes their time and travel more worthwhile. So it allows our small libraries to have bigger programs and more cost effectively.
Excuse me, conference, hotel, and transportations. Conferences are not cheap. And with small libraries, we don't have big budgets. And so if you're looking to go to a conference and you're paying for a hotel room for one person and transportation for one person, that adds up really, really, really quickly. But if you're able to partner with somebody else, then your cost per library is going to go down. So while you're paying your whole conference fee, maybe you're only paying half of the hotel, or if you're able to find other people, maybe you're only paying a quarter of the hotel or a quarter of the transportation. And that's what we've been able to accomplish. It is not, I believe it's the next. Oh, this is moving group.
Sorry.
So yeah, moving groups. We'll get more back to the hotel or to the conference piece. But so like this is an example of our moving group providers that have went around to different libraries. Is this the same provider at all these?
No.
These different ones? Is
These
this
are
two different
different.
providers?
Yeah.
The library of things. So this boxcar was made by the art club. Was it the art?
Yeah, I think
The
it's
art
center.
the art center, the art class at the school, the high school, I believe in Rushville is who did it. Clearly a lot of work was put into it. And when Rushville was done with it, I think Quincy took it after that. Because Rushville was talking about it and they showed us and stuff, and everybody was like, oh, that's so cute. And then Quincy was like, well, could we borrow it? And so that effort by a high school art class wasn't just shared at one library, it was shared at multiple libraries instead of just being stuck in a closet. The conference piece. There's our conference piece. So you can see down here in the corner, bottom corner, there's a lot of us in a van. I think that we've had 12 of us in a van before. It's not been uncommon. So if you have a good, solid group, a group of people, you can rent a van and it's going to be way cheaper than it would be to rent a car by yourself if you're going to, a conference across the country.
And I will say, prior to building these connections, I don't believe any of our librarians had attended a national conference at all. So it's really been, and now we go annually to Arsenal, and then, we kind of, our second conference, it depends on,
what's going on.
What we find and everything. But it's way more cost effective, and it's, we're able to make it happen.
And if anybody is asking questions or anything, like I said, I'm not great at Zoom. So if something is popping down, I don't necessarily see it. So I don't know if there's a way that somebody can let us know if there's a question, because Tiffany and I neither one, we're not opposed to answering questions in the middle of something. We just can't see it. So
this is Kate, and if I see questions in the chat, I will make sure to alert you.
Fantastic.
So
okay, thank you.
There's not been any questions just yet.
Okay. I just realized that I'm like, if there's a question being asked, we can't see it. So the biggest thing that we truly share though is went too fast. It is the support. The support is huge, and it's not gonna let me do it. Sorry. Yeah. So we share support. We truly, as a group, we have each other's backs, and this has been going eight years. So I had 5 years of being in the library world before we really all started working together on things. And I really truly can say that I have been able to accomplish so much more here with that support than I was beforehand, because we are able to just bounce those ideas off of each other and tell each other, you can do this. You can do this. You have an idea, go for it, do it. What about this? Or I'll help you like this. We have each other's back. So, the character visits is one of those big program things that we have had that has been super successful and that we've all been able to share. And the character visits was really Tiffany's brainchild. I still remember when we were in the van for a conference. I believe headed to Kansas City. when Tiffany's like, I've been thinking, that's how it usually starts. I've been thinking, what doing big character visits. So
Yeah, so I was looking into buying a mascot and sharing it between the libraries, and that was not cost effective. And also, like, you know, their their lifespan, there'll be a new character that comes out. And so I ended up finding a costume specialist, and we'll get to the link for that. So you can rent a character, Gerald and Piggy, Pete the Cat, any of the children's book characters. You can rent them 11 days for, I think now it's about $280. But in 11 days, like, we got Pete quite a few places. So now we kind of have expanded, and we go beyond the 11 days, but it started out with, a shorter time, and then passing him, between the libraries. So we're all, it's like our grand, you know, spread is far, but in between two libraries might be like 20 miles. So it's easy to share and transport a character and, get him visiting multiple libraries. And it's it comes to pennies. It's really a great program that we've come across.
Mm-hmm.
So
see if I can make this. So these are some of the Pete pictures from his first visit. He went a lot of different places. He was inside, he was outside. He saw a lot of kids. He was quite the popular guy. Mouse was, I don't think Mouse wasn't as popular. I think Mouse was still popular in his own right. Head was really big. His head was pretty large. Gerald and Piggy, we had them last fall. That took a whole nother brought a whole new level of the collaboration piece, because for Gerald and Piggy, you had to have two people. And Pete, the first time we did this, Tiffany very graciously was Pete most of the time. Pete got real tired real fast, because that suit is heavy and it's hot. And so we started trying to find, each library would try to find something to help out, to like fill in. Well, with Gerald and Piggy, you had to have two people. And so I actually borrowed somebody from Pittsfield who was able to come over and fill in and be Gerald for me. And then I think she went to somewhere else, didn't she?
Yeah.
Winchester or something, maybe?
Yeah.
So, it was just one more way that we had to help each other out. Yeah, more Gerald and Piggy. It's fun. The kids love it. Big characters, like we said, they're big and they need a lot of room and hydration. So when you start exploring bringing a big character in, if you're working with others to do it, just make sure that you are looking at the size of the character and the logistics that go into it. Because Gerald is not only wide, but he is long.
His ear span was,
yeah. He took some navigating. So you can see in the picture, like the one that's kind of darker on the bottom, that is pretty much how big Gerald was. He took up
a double door.
He took up a double door, and his nose would get caught.
He could pivot through a small door.
Yeah. But he needed help. And so that was like where you didn't just need another person to dress up as a character, but you had to have somebody who could wrangle those characters and get them through the doorways, help get them dressed, because it's hard for them to get things on and off on their own sometimes. So, it's the big characters are really, 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 really entertaining for multiple reasons. So,
they're worth every bit of the challenges they provide. I mean,
They are.
it's a good problem to be packing the house at the
Yeah.
library.
Yeah. And it has given, there's a lot of kids that are still talking about Pete coming to visit, or I know that Gerald and Piggy went over really well. We actually the one sitting in the chair with Gerald's head off, he actually got busted by one of the last like little people who were there visiting that night. He took his head off because he was just drenched, and this was in November. So, and he was drenched, and he took his head off to breathe, and this little girl came shooting back in the room and totally busted him. And so she learned, you know, who was behind the mask, but she was okay. It was really entertaining. We all got a good laugh. And this is costume specialist. This is where Tiffany has sourced all of the big characters.
They're fantastic to work with. I can't say enough about them.
And we can send these slides to wherever so that can be seen, or we can send out, I can send that link out to Kate or whatever to post to people. So we've done a lot of other big programs the libraries have all shared, animal ones, the cost just became so much more reasonable. Quincy Children's Museum, Tiffany mentioned them. They have visited libraries summers of 23, 24, and they were here in 25 too. And they, you know, they send out a schedule and say, okay, we'd like to do these libraries on this day, or these libraries, and these are your day options. So like they clustered us, Barry, Pittsfield, and Winchester together so that they just boom, 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 boom. And if we had just asked Quincy Children's Museum to come out here on their, like, just for Grigsville, the cost would have been more than what I would have wanted to pay, or could have probably paid if I still wanted to do other programming. But because we were all able to share, then it's so much more feasible. So this is some of the animal presentations. It was Rushville, and I can't remember who the other one, but shared that.
Was it Beardstown?
Beardstown, maybe. Yeah, this one, if you don't like spiders, this is your chance to close your eyes. I don't know how the kids did it. I'm not that kid. So you can open your eyes now. They're gone. The Quincy Children's Museum, these are some of the stops that they made. A lot of outside programming there, so it was making sure that, you know, with weather coordinating and that kind of thing. So there's going to be hurdles, like it's just inevitable. There's going to be hurdles, especially when you're doing larger programs, especially if you are in a smaller building. So one of those is space. My building personally, it is not big. That is why most of my stuff has to be outside. If we would have had Gerald and Piggy in here, we couldn't have had any kids in here. Like there's just no room. So we had it across the street at a church like hall kind of thing. And that made it possible for us to have Gerald and Piggy. Otherwise, outside, we do, like, I can speak for myself, we do a lot of our character visits down at our story walk at the park. It's outside. It gets a program at my story walk going, and then we have plenty of room, because when you have a small library, sometimes space is just an issue. So timing can be a problem. So when you're working with other people, so it's really important to be flexible, because if you're not flexible and if you aren't willing to budge a little bit, it's going to be so much harder to work with others when you're all sharing the same resource. So flexibility makes a huge, huge, huge difference in making it all work for everyone.
Yeah, you definitely end up, you know, thinking outside of the box and doing some, you know, some morning programs at one library and an evening program. So just definitely with your time, if you can be flexible, then that allows somebody to come in and do an event at your library and a couple others?
Attendance. Big programs typically mean large attendance. And for some of us in smaller libraries, that can be a little overwhelming that first time because you're not expecting all these people. And so it's just always prepare for more. Just over prepare for more people than what you're usually getting, because it's better to have more than not enough. Because it's not fun for people to start complaining that there isn't enough of something or to leave disappointed. However, I mean, we all have budgets that we have to work within. So, I mean, you don't feel like you have to go crazy with it, but just always keep in mind that if it's if you're doing a big program, be prepared to have a lot of people there. So how can you be big? Find your people. We are rural here. I'm assuming most of you are rural down there. But there is somebody somewhat close to you within 15, 20 minutes drive that you can connect with. So find your people, because once you find your people, then you just can start building from there. And like I said, 9 years ago, before we really started collaborating, like I knew other librarians, but I can't say that I would necessarily have reached out to them for things like sharing programming or sharing resources. It may have been more like hey, I need advice on like a tax levy, something like that. But it wasn't like that everyday thing or that continual programming type thing. So once I found my people, then it was just so much easier to get that collaboration going. And so if you haven't found a library bestie yet, reach out to the library next to you, see if you can get together to chat about things. And then maybe they can bring the library next to them, and they can bring the library next to them. And before you know it, you've found your people. Like you've all come together, and you just keep adding people in. When we started, I think you had, was it like 10 or 12?
Yeah.
10 or 12 libraries, I think, when Tiffany started like helping us to all organize. There was about 10 or 12 libraries, and now
we have
much
21 libraries that are in, frequent contact with one another. So
source some money. This is where it can get a little tricky sometimes for some people. And so I'll let Tiffany, she's in.
And so obviously we have had support through the Tracy Family Foundation, but what we found is that there are a lot of things that could continue without me and without the Tracy Family funds. When you break down the costs, when you're sharing, it gets a lot more reasonable to make these things happen. So, but yeah, I mean, I would look at family foundations. I think you guys use some of your local agencies or businesses that
the Lions Clubs, Rotaries. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones that are.
But anywhere that you're going to, any resources you're going to find to assist, they're going to love that you're collaborating and bringing down the cost. So, I mean, it's a win for everybody.
The Farm Bureau was that one. I think that's one of the resources that. And then you just make things happen. You just jump in and you just go for it, because it's nothing's gonna happen if you don't at least try. So you you jump in and you go for it and you see what you can accomplish. Because once you do that first big thing, the next big thing comes easier. Once you take that chance and have a character come visit, then you're going to start talking about your next character visit probably before the first character has even been sent back.
Yeah.
You're going to start talking about other program ideas or other places that you can source, different materials. And
it really is contagious when you see the excitement of your families and children, and you have little kids coming up and saying, "I love you, Pete. I've read all of your books." It's just, and being able to attend a conference and build those relationships, it becomes contagious, and you look for the next thing. So just start somewhere. So, if there's a program that you want to have, but in the past you've thought, "Oh, there's no way I can find anybody to do that," or, there's something you want to do, just start reaching out, because it is possible. I mean, I think you'll find that you're not the only one that would like to do those things. And so, yeah, just start taking some steps to find your people and break down the cost and see what you can make happen.
So yeah, definitely round up all of the library people. Like I can't say enough about the difference it makes once you get a group of people going who all have the same end goal in mind, which is to serve our communities. Like we all have the same passion. It's to provide for our communities and to give them, all the things that a library can. And so when you round up all those same people with the same passion and the same end goal, then you can make really big things happen. And there's always going to be somebody with an idea that somebody else hasn't thought of. So
we've ended up with friendships that span, an hour drive, and we know about each other's families and we know about each other's lives, and just connect on a personal and professional level. And the rural library world can be kind of an isolating world. I mean, you might be a solo librarian, and you don't have that camaraderie if you don't reach outside of your walls a lot of times. So I mean, I think it's been one of my favorite things is seeing the friendships and the connections made. And Kimber knows that she can call up a handful of people with anything that she has a question about, and that's huge. I mean,
yeah, it makes a really big difference, because I'm not solo. I have a part-time person, but my part-time person isn't necessarily a like gung-ho library person. And so when I'm here, I don't really have anybody that I'm, bouncing those ideas off of. But it's the ones that I can are a text message away. Like I text them and they're right there. So it really does, the support is invaluable. So partnering outside of the library people is also huge, because there are resources out there that maybe you haven't considered that are able to help make those big things happen. And we are all like, of course, the closer you are to a bigger area, the more resources you might have like immediately available. So when we're out in the middle of nowhere, then it's a little bit harder, but there are still some things. Like we don't have a museum close to Grigsville necessarily, but we've got a school right here in town. And so making those connections with the school and creating the partnerships there have allowed me to have somewhere, like if I needed to have a bigger program, I could probably have it at the school. They would probably work with me on making that happen. And then just like on my lower, on my level, like the school classes come up here and visit, well, then I'm able to tell them about the big character visit or some other big program that we're doing. So making those connections, most of us are going to have a school near us, and those connections are really invaluable.
And you never know what's going to come out of it. Like the character visits, we share those with childcare centers. And then, so as a result of that sharing, then I had a childcare center that I don't know who donated it, but they had like a Poppy mascot, let's see, a Paw Patrol and a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. And they were like, hey, would you, have any use of these? And we've had libraries that have used those. So all because we reached out and shared something with another, entity that shares our passion for educating littles, then they share with us. So it's unexpected wins.
Yes. The health departments are really good resources. They'll sometimes have freebies that you can give away, or will help with programming. Other health services, the hospitals will often have items available that you may not automatically know about. I mean, it's not library world. It's one of my other things like Little League, but like the Illini in Pittsfield, they donated first aid kits for our Little League because we asked, So I'm sure library wise, if I asked them for, Band-Aids or something, something for a program of some kind, I believe that they would help us out with that. Your local governments, the cities, some cities and some municipalities are better than others about helping. But if you can get your local government on board with wanting to help out, then that's, that many more hands who might be able to help set up a big outside event or can, be willing to help shut down the street if you need the street shut down for a little bit for an event outside or whatever. So creating those partnerships is huge. The service clubs, a lot of us have service, some kind of like the Lions, the Rotary, American Legions. I'm trying to think of some other ones. Different places have different things, but those are all different, or those are all good options to look at to help just support whatever you're wanting to do at the library. So financial support is huge. Yeah. And Tiffany's talked about it some already. The local foundations, local businesses, asking for donations for, different programming you're doing or prizes or something like that. Grants, there are a lot of grants out there if you go looking for them. Now, they're competitive and they're not, you're not always going to get them, but it doesn't ever hurt to apply and try.
And that's, one of the other benefits to connecting with other libraries is we've had libraries who have shared like, oh, I got this grant, So just knowing that somebody in your world has applied for it and received that grant, then you have somebody that can help you navigate it yourself.
Yeah.
Because they know what it took to get the grant. So,
yes.
So we share a lot of information about like grants that we find, how we successfully, got the grants, different things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that I can speak personally with the grants piece, like finding somebody else who's already received that grant and being able to ask them, like, how did you do this? Like, what did you tell them that they were willing to give you the money? Because what I told them didn't work. And that's a big help. So ultimately the last step is to go be big. You just have to go for it. You jump in, you go for it, you do it, and you see what happens. Because even if it maybe doesn't turn out exactly the way you plan, it's still going to be something. And nobody attending is going to know what you didn't get accomplished with it. but you can make big things happen at your library and in your community, and within your library system, if you are able to find some people to work together and pool your resources and tell each other to go be big. So that's all we have. So we again appreciate the offer for letting us come speak and share. And if you have any questions?
Yeah, we'll give some time for questions. I know somebody had a question in the chat about a story walk, and that I think got answered in the chat. I know the thing that makes the biggest impression on me is I love that you all travel to conferences together.
Yeah.
And
we love that too. It's been huge. I would say that's what has made the other things possible. Because the conferences, they're just a sprint. They're a wealth of information. There are programs that we have launched, not because of a session that we attended, but because of a conversation we had in a hotel room or in the van traveling. You get the ideas going, and then you have somebody else to talk to right there when it happens. And I mean, we've really bonded over sharing hotel rooms. We've had 3 in a room, we've had I mean, it's not ideal, but we make it happen. And honestly, the close proximity and the time together has really led to valuable connections and valuable ideas that we then can share, and we know each other well. So, it's a lot of fun. I highly recommend renting a passenger van and pooling your resources to attend a conference together, because it's been a springboard.
It's a learning experience.
Yeah.
because I know in IHLS we have a number of active networking groups, but they might not. So do you all meet as a group frequently?
We have quarterly meetings, LDL, and I don't even know for sure. Long distance librarians.
Yeah.
We have quarterly meetings for that, and those kind of just travel around to different. It's a lot of Quincy. They happen in Quincy a lot, but they venture around at the different libraries. And when Tiffany came on, she started coming to those meetings also, and so now she actually has her time at the beginning of those meetings where she's able to talk the early childhood aspect of things. So we do have quarterly meetings. I like your third Thursday though. That's fun.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a kind of our larger continuing education program that we offer. And we do for all of our IHLS members out there today joining us. If you're not sure about a networking group in your area, IHLS can certainly help you find one, or your fellow directors. If there's not one in your area and you need any support in starting one, please reach out. And there is one. I love networking groups and I love new networking groups. So there's been a few that have started since I've been at the system, and connecting members is just so important. And I really love how you all in that area did this initiative and just have supported each other so much. It's just really, really wonderful. So I don't see any questions that have come in the chat. But thank you so much for your time today. It is about 10:49. We are going to go ahead and end the third Thursday continuing education. We will be coming back at 11 for our Members Matter meeting. So thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you again, Kimber and Tiffany. And yes, if you'd like to send me your slides, I will make those available to So thank you again, and everybody that's staying on for Members Matter, we will see you here in 10 minutes.
Thank you.